It's never a waste of time to make time for the truth. A moment spent listening and paying attention to the truth can change your life. So let's take a moment for the truth. Psalms 119:49 says, "Remember the word to your servant, in which you have made me hope." Today's verse begins the next section of 8 verses from verses 49 to 56. Now, the overall theme of this section is the comfort of God's Word. There should be little doubt in the life of a believer that God's Word provides a resource from God Himself beyond anything that we have on our own. I can remember several occasions when either my children or now my grandchildren have reminded me of something that I said to them as a promise. And while it may have slipped my memory, it seemed to have been embedded in their minds. You see, while I may have said something in passing, they latched onto it. That word to them created an expectation that would not diminish over time. And although it would cost me more than I'd assumed when I first said it, their expectant anticipation told me I had to make it happen. Likewise, in the same kind of expectant anticipation is what this psalmist is speaking about in this verse. He says to the Lord, "Remember the word to your servant." But unlike any passing promise that we might utter, the Lord's word is certain. When the Lord speaks, when His word declares His true and sure promises, the certainty is unquestionable. If we look further in this very psalm, in verse 160, we read this, "The sum of your word is true, and every one of your judgments is everlasting." When the very word became flesh and lived among mankind, the apostle recorded in John 1:14 that we saw His glory as of the glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Jesus Himself, while He was praying for us in John 17:17, asked the Father, "Sanctify them in truth. Your word is truth." You see, unlike any of us who speak a word to others, we are subject to forgetfulness. We sometimes speak flippantly. We may even make promises that for our own advantage, never giving thought as to whether we would have to fulfill our words. Not so with the Lord, and the psalmist knows it well. He speaks the prayer to God not to prompt as much the Lord's memory as much as to remind himself. They are the words of faith calling out. They are like the plea of the man hanging on the cross beside the Lord when he cries out, "Lord, remember me." This call out in faith to God explains the very closing words of this verse, "in which you have made me hope." The certainty of God's word is the basis for hope in the heart of His children. The expectation of faith is the comfort when circumstances seem to create fear or doubt. But where there is the certainty born out of faith, hope is born or renewed. When you sense the trembling of uncertainty in your life, remember the promise from the one who gave us His word, and His word is true. Take a moment to apply that to your day today. It will be a moment that will matter. Thanks for watching and listening to Truth Matters Moment. Also, don't forget to look for our weekly podcast called Truth Matters. It comes out every Wednesday. Catch you later.